Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode here at the Less Is Morehammer channel. I'm a relatively new painter. I've been painting for just about a year now, and the one thing that I've noticed is when searching for videos of paint tutorials or tips and tricks and how to do stuff, specifically with painting Warhammer miniatures, is that a lot of the videos I watch, I don't see myself being able to get even close to what their paint standards are as starting out as new as I was. So the purpose of this channel is to show you that it is okay to be just okay at painting. Not everything you do is going to look like a golden demon winner, and that's okay. As you'll see as I go through this, I would describe myself as okay at painting, if even that. So hopefully as this channel continues, I'll see the improvement that I make along with the tips and tricks that are left in the comments. I can improve and show people that you will improve as you go along. So for this first episode today, we're going to be working our way through a Plaguebearer out of the Maggotkin of Nurgle Spearhead for Age of Sigmar. I've got about seven. I've got about 7 of them painted up right now. I use a variety of different acrylic paints as well as a couple speed paints from the Army Painter set. I kind of like to have a different variety in the skin tones of my different plague bearers, kind of showing the various disgustingness that they will have, for lack of a different term. So for this, we're actually using the Vallejo German Camo Bright Green. I think that's the name of it. I'll pop it on screen to show you what I'm talking about here. So that's what we'll do our whole base coat in. One of the tips you'll always get is thinning down your paint. I'm not a thumb painter. You'll see that a lot, but I can kind of tell as it comes off here on the paper towel. It's not really in focus, but I can tell as I've been doing it whether it's the right consistency or not. So we'll just start. So here we are after our first base coat, using that too thin coat layer. It's not perfect, obviously miss some spots, but this is the first coat, making sure that good under layer is through, covering up most of all the primer. Obviously, I wasn't too careful here on some of that, if it'll focus. I wasn't too careful here. It's a rough outline, just making sure that you get everything covered that needs to be covered. His little armpit back there is kind of right. I'll use my brush. There's a little armpit back here. Is usually a spot that I kind of tend to miss sometimes. So making sure to cover everything as much as possible. Obviously not going thick, make sure we keep that detail through there as we go along. So I will see you after I finish the second coat. All right. We're back here after finishing that second coat, always working in 2 thin coats as we go. So the next thing I'm going to work on is the horn here. I like to, with the horns, anything bone color really. I've started doing, missed a little top on his head. We'll go back and fix that. But I do a base coat of ivory, Vallejo ivory, through the horns on my Maggotkin. And then usually go over it with the Army Painter Speed Paint, the Pallid Bone. I really like that color. It gives that kind of gross look for Nurgle. That Nurgle is so well known for. It's what drew me to doing a Nurgle army, is the grossness of it. And you'll see as we go along adding into those. But right now we're going to focus on the bone. Kind of probably through here, work our way up into that ivory, and then go over it with the speed paint. I will see you when I get to that. All right, and we're back. As you can kind of probably see a little bit here, I did not wait the whole time and let that ivory dry. So a lot more of that primer ended up showing through, but you know what? That's okay. We roll with it around here. So next, what we're gonna do is the fun part. We're gonna work on a lot of that gross detail that all those Nurgle armies have. So all the intestines here, the sores, everything like that. Anything with some depth through it, we are going to go through and we're going to add some color. So for this, what I started doing is using Army Painter Blood Chalice. It's kind of a darker pink red. as the base, and then work through into Army Painter Leopard Stone Skin as a highlight, along with mixing some of them around, getting a little depth and gradient to it. So for this, I'm switching to my Golden Maple Sable Hair brush. I was really nervous to use Sable um, because I know that they're super quality. They're a little bit more expensive. So I got more of a cheaper set. But honestly, I wish I would have done it sooner. I think it's helped my skill as a painter. Um, they're just overall better quality brushes, and you can do a lot better work with them and learn some of those skills a little faster. So if you're out there hesitant about getting a set of sable hair brushes because you're not sure, you don't think you're good enough or whatever to justify it, just do it. All right, we're back after that. Next, we're going to use a mixture of that blood chalice and leopard stone skin from Army Painter. We're going to go through and just kind of highlight those raised edges there. With these, it's important to make sure you got a fine tip. You should never mush your brushes, but sometimes it does happen. So just make sure that you get that fine tip because we are going into some of that smaller detail work. All right, so we're back after that. Just to add a little bit to anywhere you can see some raised details. So in those intestines, any of those pores, anything like that. One thing that I've done before and I really like that I'm going to do again is kind of the skin around the rips here. I'm going to go through with that same mixture that we just did and just kind of highlight all that little skin pieces through here. It just adds that grossness factor of Nurgle, and I really like it. Kind of shows some of that underflesh kind of pouring, ripping through. So we're gonna go through and do that. All right, done with that. I can see that I missed one of his spots here, so I'm gonna go through, redo that whole process again, and then also just clean up anywhere I got overzealous, which obviously right here, the inside of his leg got a little overzealous there. So we're gonna go through and just fix some of that up. All right, and we're back after that. As you can see, some of that grossness is starting to take into effect here. That just makes Nurgle so awesome. So that's really great to see. Next thing we're gonna work on, let's see. Let's go ahead and work on that weapon. I don't really do overly too much here for these weapons. I don't see them as the focal point of the unit. Obviously, the unit in general is not a focal point of the army. If you know much, if anything, about the Age of Sigmar, or Warhammer in general, these are kind of your chaffs that you just throw out there. Hopefully, do something during a game. So we're gonna go through, do a quick little base coat of the True Copper from Army Painter, and I'll see you when we're good. All right, finished up with that first coat there. As you may or may not be able to see, this doesn't really want to focus, but on his fingertip there, I obviously got a lot on it. So what I did was clean my brush off, try and wipe away as much of that as I could. I didn't do a great job, so obviously there's going to be some cleanup there, which brings me to a point for new painters. Take your time. Obviously I was rushing through this a little bit, spilled. So make sure you take your time with it. You want to make sure your majority of your time is painting new colors, not going back and cleaning up old ones. So yeah, I'm gonna work on that second coat, clean it up, and I will be back shortly. We are back. So it's looking good, looking pretty standard. Next thing we're gonna do is always the scary part. We're gonna work on the face. So for the teeth, I like to use Vallejo Game Color Moon Yellow. And then for his eyes, I go with the Army Painter Burning Ore. I think it helps stand out a lot with gross Nurglings. They're not going to have white teeth. And just that good orange eye is kind of really helps it stand out from all the kind of duller, gross colors that we got going on. So I'm gonna brave the water here. I have my 00 from my 00 sable from Golden Maple. It's the finest tip I have, so hopefully this only takes 3 attempts. That's usually what it takes between attempt 1, cleaning up, going back again, cleaning up after that. Usually by 3 or 4, I got something I'm happy with. So I will report back with how many attempts it takes to make it not look terrible. All right, well, surprisingly, that only took 1 attempt. There's still some cleanup to do a little bit, but overall, I'm really happy with that, especially for 1 try. I am pleasantly shocked. So now we're going to go through with that moon yellow on the teeth, and I will see you after that. All right, welcome back. So one thing I noticed when doing the teeth here is that this model has something different compared to the other ones I've done. It actually has a bone sticking through that you can see. So what I'm going to do is base coat that with some ivory before I go into the next part, and I will tell you what I'm going to do after that. So got that ivory on there. So what I think we're ready for is a wash. Yeah, I think we're ready for a wash. The wash I like to use is Army Painter Military Shade, especially for these. It's kind of got a darker brown or green to it. I've used the sepia tone in the past to try and give it more of a orange hint, and I just didn't like it. So Military Shade is my go-to for my Nurgle army in general. So we're going to give it a good shade and then come back after that, see what it's looking like. So we got that wash all on there. It's still wet, literally just finished it. But as you can see a little bit, kind of what it's done is given it a grungier vibe, grungier feel to it. You'll be able to tell better when it's dry. So I will join you back when it is all dried up. We'll go through and I'll tell you what I like to do next. So I had a thought while I was waiting for that to dry. Why not take you all through the rest of my little Maggotkin army that I've done so far out of the spearhead. So we'll start with just the Plaguebearers. We got this first one here. As you can see, we are going to be messing with some blood effects today because they are fun. Just super basic. This is the one that I mentioned earlier where I tried the sepia wash on it. I wasn't a big fan of it at first, but as it's gone on, I kind of like it. It's just something I got to mess with a little more of how I want to do it. So, but yeah, there we go. That's our first one there. Next one we got, I was messing with some speed paint. This is pretty sure it's the Army Painter Gilly Doo. If you watched Eons of Battle before, he calls it the sci-fi paint, or how's he phrase it? Sci-fi in a bottle. But it really is just kind of a gross paint on these. The heads. This is my first time ever doing any sort of skin tone. I think it turned out really well. Obviously wouldn't use it if I was painting, wouldn't do it quite like this if I was painting like Rabute Gilliman or Robot Girly Man or anything like that. But yeah, the back, messing with some of those, it doesn't want to focus for me, but messing some with that true blood in the back, you can kind of tell, especially through there. And I'll show you how I do the bases in a little bit. I already have the base for this guy done, but I'll walk you through it when I glue them on. We got our standard bear here. This is my first time messing with speed paint. I think I did all right. I pooled a lot, as you can tell, but it works out pretty well. I went back afterwards and added all the blood effects to them. That's why it's a little more controlled through there. The musician, it was a pain in the butt to do this guy because I did not build him correctly. Put his arm in the wrong slot, so I kind of had to mess around with it a little bit, but works out all right. You know, the whole purpose of this channel is that it's okay for it not to be perfect, and you probably wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't told you that it was not on correctly. So yeah, this was my second time using the speed paint on this army. This is the Army Painter. Let me find it. Army Painter Maggot Skin. I also used a little bit of the vomit effect here. It was my first time doing it. It is cool. I used the Army Painter Oozing Vomit to get that effect. I love the way the mouth turned out coming out of the stomach. I'm really proud of that one. This was back when I was dry brushing the Army Painter True Brass on top of the swords. I wasn't a huge fan. First off, you can't really tell what's underneath. Second off, I was always missing this spot in the back here. Third, I would always get it on his hand, so I decided I'm not going to do that anymore. Um, yeah, I had a lot of fun with the blood effects on this one. On the base, you can tell it's coming out of his mouth, trying to tell a little story there, and you can tell as he's been walking that trail in the back. The Spoil Pox Scrivener, I'm pretty sure is what this one's called. This was the third model I actually did, so I kind of didn't really do much messing around here. It was a lot of fun. The little nurgling there, vomiting all over the paper, the blood on the mouth, a little speed paint here and there. But this is where I think the sepia tone for the wash really comes into good effect. It really works out because this is just standard ivory with a sepia tone over top, but it really adds that old paper effect to it. So I'm a huge fan of it there. Just messed around with some of the blood. This is the old way I used to do the bases. I've changed it since I've done this guy. Tried to do a little writing through there. I think it turned out pretty well. And then this one I just did the straight true brass metal metallic over it because he's just standing a little different, have a little different weapon. So yeah, just messing around with this one. This is a lot of fun, messing with all the different joint lines, I guess you would call it, the different skin lines, skin tones through there. So I think the way it's modeled really well, it really helps you out with that. So you're not messing around too much. You can get a nice little even spread throughout that. But yeah, all the maggots, the veins. I love Age of Sigmar models. Their sculpts are just amazing, and they're a lot of fun. They really help you out with the model, deciding how to paint things, when to paint things, where to paint things. They've done a great job with Age of Sigmar. With that, it makes it a lot easier to make decisions with just the way they sculpt them and model them. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Let's see, what else do I got here? Let me look for a second. I will come back. All right, found a couple more. This is my only Putrid Blight King model that I've done so far. I was messing around with how I wanted to do the armor piece, and I ended up really liking it. So it's pretty simple, kind of keeps everything tied together. The one thing that I've just kind of seen in videos I've watched is when you have too many colors on the model, it just gets distracting. So I tried to limit that as much as possible here. So all the metals are just the same two colors. So my metal palette for the army is just two colors. So you have your true brass and then the true copper. I kind of picked which ones I wanted to be plate, and which ones I wanted to be accents, and kind of messed with that a little bit here. I really love the way the mouth is. I went really heavy on the blood here, as you can kind of see, pulled it out into the base a little bit. Probably could have done a little more there, but you know, subtlety here and there. It is Warhammer, so nothing is subtle, but you try where you can on that. But yeah. The last model I have done is the biggest model I've ever done. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit so you can maybe see it here and there. Give me a second. All right, I think it focused. But yeah, this is the Putrid Blight Lord. So this was the biggest model I've done so far. I have a Seraphon army that I'm working on, so the Carnosaur, we'll see whenever it comes along. But yeah, this was I'm not gonna lie, kind of difficult for me. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do it. There's a lot going on here. Um, so I kind of picked where I really wanted to focus and kind of went for it here. So I think it turned out pretty well. Um, it's got its sores here and there. Kind of try to cover them with blood where I could, just to make it easier on myself. Got some vomit in the pot there with the tendrils coming out, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it once I actually figured out what I was going to do with it. I did this in sub assemblies, so made it a little easier on myself. So if you are doing these, definitely recommend doing sub assembly. So just working on this, do the whole fly first, and then go with the guy riding it. But yeah, I added a little purple to it. Definitely needed something else in there, so I went with kind of a purple cape. My original thought was just doing it black. Wouldn't really stand out too much, and I did want it to stand out a little bit. So he's got purple cape through his pants. You can't really tell too much there, but there's a purple tint to it. And then went with purple on the hood. But yeah, this is where I was struggling, wasn't sure what color to work through here. So I pulled something out of my Seraphon army. Went with frost blue from the army painter. I think it really helps differentiate everything. I think if I would have gone with a darker color, it would have just melded in and would have been a little boring. So I definitely wanted to do something a little different with that. Little Nurgling on there. He's got his blood trail coming out the back, just trying to have some fun with it. These were not really fun to paint. I still cannot figure out how to paint yellow. I think I have an idea of how I want to do it now. Just go with speed paint, just say, try and make it easier on myself there. This is also my first time doing a rock. I don't know if I did a great job. Definitely didn't. But that's the whole purpose of this channel is nothing has to be perfect. Just has to be where you're happy with it. Because after all, they are your little plastic men, or bugs in this case. And as long as you're happy with it, no one else can say anything about them. But yeah, I did just kind of a nice black to start with the primer, then hit it with some darker gray, and then just light dry brush of a lighter gray over top. I think it looks all right. I'm happy with it, especially for my first time ever messing with it. Welcome back. I'm pretty sure it's dry by now. There's probably a couple spots, but for what I'm going to be doing, it'll be all right. So this is a perfectly fine spot to stop. This is a very much standard tabletop ready. So if this is a point where you're happy with it, that is perfectly fine. I honestly am happy with this, but there's a couple more things that I could do to, hopefully help it stand out a little bit, look a little better. I don't really do too much tabletop gaming. So for me, I'm more focused on the painting. That's where I have fun in this. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I am very much happy with the skin color. I love the toned down kind of grody grossness of it. So what I'm going to do is more focus on these little pieces here. So anywhere that there's kind of that raised pus, pox, whatever you want to call it, aspect of it, I'm going to go over it with some necrotic flesh from the army painter. And I'm going to just kind of do a quick little over highlight type thing, glaze over it, give it a little more grossness to it. So actually, I'm going to go over it with a little bit of necrotic flesh, maybe a little leopard stone skin, a little yellow, just kind of depends. Mix it up. Want it to look pretty gross, and anything you can do to do that, that is what you're looking for. Went through, kind of grossed it up a little bit, maybe went a little over the top, but it's Nurgle, so there's no such thing. So I think we are ready to glue it onto the base. Here's this base right here. It's nothing crazy, pretty simple. I'll walk you through my basing scheme, what I've been doing. Not good at basing, so I keep it pretty simple. But all right, I will get that glued on real quick. So for my normal basing scheme, let me grab one real quick. What I tend to use is the Vallejo Thick Mud texture paint texture paste. And then I leave little puddles here, like I did there, and then fill it in with the Army Painter disgusting slime. What we're going to do with this guy is the Fun Blood. I use the Army Painter True Blood. Um, as you can tell, I have a lot of Army Painter stuff. It's just kind of the first one I bought. So that's what I tend to use. That's kind of my style. If I have one brand, I'll stick to it. So we're not going to go too heavy with this guy on the blood effects. We're probably going to, if it'll focus, we're just going to do those little intestines, probably right here on him, maybe out of his chest a little bit, and then probably his butt right there, and probably that back of his calf, and then pull it on the base a little bit, and that'll be him all done. So let me get that into the palette, and I will join you back when he's all done and ready to roll. Got that blood on there, just a little, the intestines, his chest, the sword, and then just kind of pulled it underneath from his butt, a little bit on his leg here, and then just pulled it underneath his foot, kind of made a little dripping thing there. Like I said, it's Nurgle. It's supposed to be gross, and I think he is definitely gross. Camera doesn't want to seem to focus. But yeah, that's kind of how I go through with those Plaguebearers. So if you have any questions, tips, comments, anything like that, please leave them down below in that comment section. If you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you could leave it a like. This is my first video. So I'm really excited to kind of join this. Like I said earlier, my whole goal is to, get feedback from the viewers, grow as a painter, and kind of join this process with you all. Kind of see, hopefully something in this video would help out somebody on their journey to grow as a painter. And then, every time I paint, I feel like I get better. So just keep painting out there, and you'll get better as well. And always remember, don't compare yourself to anybody else out on the internet. You're not going to win a golden demon. This definitely won't. And if you are a golden demon winner, I don't know why you're watching this channel, but thank you. So that's everything for today. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed.